Hello everyone, this is Pippin Williams with pippinsplugins.com, and welcome to what might be the first episode of what I'm going to call kind of plugin thoughts or thoughts for plugin development. And what I want to do in this is kind of talk to you a little bit about what my thoughts are on making your plugins easy to modify and extend for other developers. The way that we're going to do this is using a system of hooks and filters, which are available inside of WordPress. I've done a couple tutorials on these. The one that you can see right here was my quick introduction to action hooks. That goes through and kind of explains and gives a little bit of a demonstration of what these are. But what I really want to do is I'm not going to show you any specific code or anything. I just want to kind of give you a better understanding of how you can use action hooks and filters to make your plugin more extensible. So what we want to do is make our plugin easier to modify and extend for other developers. So let's take a plugin, it can be anything, and let's imagine that we're using it and we want to either remove or add a piece of functionality to or from that plugin. Well, if the plugin has utilized action hooks and filters, that's really easy to do. If it has not utilized these, then you're forced to go in and actually modify the source code of the plugin. Well, that's perfectly fine. I mean, especially if the plugin is it's all open source, there's no problem with doing that, except for the fact that you immediately lose the ability to utilize the WordPress auto update system if you modify your plugin's core code. So, action hooks and filters give plugin developers a really great way to make a plugin extensible. So what I want to do now is just kind of go through and show you some examples of where this has been utilized really well. I'm going to show you a couple examples from my plugins as well as other plugins and even a theme as well. This does not just relate to plugins. This is plugin and theme development. So the first example I want to show you is inside of my Restrict Content Pro plugin. It has a long list of action hooks and filters, but I'm just going to show you the ones that are used for the login and registration forms. So inside the plugin are a couple functions that output the fields for the login and registration forms. Well, inside of those functions, I have included action hooks. So you can see this one, for example, do action RCP before login form. So having this hook right here, even though I'm not necessarily utilizing it by the core of my plugin, having it there provides other developers or even the user of the plugin a way to output additional information here. So let's say, for example, that somebody wanted to add a little bit of HTML above the login form. Well, all they have to do is simply attach it to this action hook, and there you go. Now, down at the bottom, we have RCP after login form. So we've kind of structured it such that you always have a before hook and an after hook. The registration forms are kind of the same way. It's another function where we have RCP before register forms. And we have down at the very bottom RCP after register forms. And inside of the form, we have one called RCP after register form fields. So this is a hook that would actually allow you right here to add additional fields to this registration page. And if you actually go over to my site, I actually did a tutorial on this the other day called Add Agree to Our Terms of Use field to Restrict Content Pro. And that's using that exact same hook to add an additional input field to the registration form. And so those are scattered throughout the entire plugin, both the front end and the admin. And they provide a great way for other users. It gives them the ability to add information or add functionality to the plugin. Next example that I want to show you is inside of Jason Bovich's Swagger framework. So he's built a tremendous framework. It's actually a theme framework, and this is one of the files inside of his theme framework that have his whole list of action hooks. Well, what's really great about all of the action hooks that he has, for example, do action theme boulevard title, theme boulevard before, theme boulevard after, header top, header above, header content, etc. He's got a giant list of them. Well, this is great because when building a child theme, for example, you can go and remove or add any one of these sections that you want. No problem. So that's awesome because for example, my site, which is using Swagger, it's not there anymore, but there used to be a tagline down here before the old logo that said coding every day keeps the bugs away. Well, that was added with an action hook called Theme Boulevard Header Add-on, I believe. And it actually allowed me to add content to the header without ever modifying a file. Next example is inside of the JigoShop template files. So JigoShop has done a really, really great job of including action hooks inside of all of their template files for the plugin. So for example, if we're on a single product page, we have all of these different HTML sections displayed, but what if, for example, I want to remove one? But since I'm not using a customized theme, I have to remove it from the actual plugin. Well, thanks to the way that they structured it with all of their action hooks, we can go in and simply remove one of these using the remove action function. And we can actually completely get rid of the product summary section or after the product summary. So that makes it really, really easy to do. So when I was building a site recently that used JigoShop, being able to remove any of these sections or add my own custom sections was invaluable. It's extremely important. Next, I want to show you is inside of my Easy Content Types plugin. Here, I used, instead of an action hook, I used an action filter, which actually allows me to register custom meta field types for the plugin, which you may recall there was a tutorial done on that recently called Registering Custom Meta Field Types for Easy Content Types. Well, that was all done. That's all allowed and permissible with the plugin because of action filters. So we have a line right here that says field types equals apply filters, ECPT field types, and then the array of field types. So this allows other plugins, whether they're mine or someone else's, to actually modify and add additional field types to the plugin. So these action hooks and action filters, they're not just something to utilize with WordPress core. Use them in your plugins. Use them in your themes. Once you start using them, you'll realize just how powerful they make it. I want to give you another example, and this is with the really, really well-known Gravity Forms plugin. If you go to the documentation for the plugin, which is at gravityhelp.com/documentation, and go to the developer section, they have a huge long list of hooks and filters. Form loading, sublabels, form submission, administration, etc. So we can go in here to gform confirmation, for example, and we can see that with a single filter like this, we can actually change what happens for the confirmation message. We can actually send them to a custom URL, or we can send them we can display custom text using this little function. Well, because Gravity Forms has all of these advanced filters and hooks built in, we can do this without ever modifying the plugin. Their hook system is advanced enough that you can use it for registering custom field types. Just like with Easy Content Types, how you can register a custom meta field, you can actually register custom form elements as well inside of Gravity Forms because of the advanced hook and filter system. So using hooks and filters dramatically increases the flexibility and extensibility of your plugin or your theme. It's not dependent upon either one. I simply just like to focus on plugins a little bit more. So even if your plugin is very basic, you can do it. It doesn't have to be a super advanced plugin to utilize hooks and filters. A simple example of something that you could do is actually attaching all of your script loading to a hook, which is probably already done already if you've done it correctly. But you can also, for example, maybe your settings page has hooks on it so that people can add additional settings to the plugin. Restrict Content Pro is an example that does this. It has a couple hooks inside of the settings page that allow you to register additional plugin settings without creating an entirely new database option, simply by adding additional HTML elements. And this is useful for creating add-on payment gateways, which are going to be released pretty soon for Restrict Content Pro. But anyway, so hooks and filters are something that you should be using. If you're not familiar with them, go check out my introductory tutorials on them. Both of them are extremely simple, but they both illustrate exactly how powerful these two systems are. So anyway, that's enough rambling from me. If you have any questions, let me know. Use them. They're awesome.